Well, good morning to all of you all. Welcome back.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So let us start with the unit number 5. I've just put up the syllabus. Okay, since this is only theory here, there's going to be no problems on this unit. Okay, it's a very simple small unit. Okay, which covers introduction to GST Act, need and benefits for GST in India. What is the dual GST model? What are the different acts? CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST. What are these? Then goods and services tax network. What is this? GST council and the registration of GST. It's a very small unit in fact, which covers only theory. Let us see, like.
Okay, good morning all once again, and welcome back to the second online class in the subject corporate finance. So this class is conducted for MBA semester 4 students. Okay. And in today's classes, we are learning.
Let us see a small. Okay. So whenever you have bought or purchased something, let us say, okay, the.
It is recording. Okay, so it is getting recorded. Thank you. So I'll clarify the doubt of Prashant first, then we'll go ahead with the next topic.
Okay, just see this. No, see, just last week I happened to go to a pet shop and I bought some items for my small dog puppy. Okay, if you see this, okay, they call it as they have given me a bill. Okay, the bill is called as tax invoice here. There are certain things that you need to observe here. So those are like, if you observe here, the name of the shop they have given here in the tax invoice. Okay, Buddy and Kitty. Okay, unit pet step. This one, something like this. Then they have given GSTIN. Are you able to hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Am I clear with whatever I'm telling? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm just showing you a tax invoice of GST. Okay, wherein I bought some items for a small fee. See here, if you see here, the name of the shop is given here. Then there is something called as GSTIN. Okay, there's a number here, GSTIN number, and then the patient's name or the purchaser's name, doctor's name, GST, and all those things are there, and the date and all that there. Okay. If you observe here, okay, in this entire tax invoice, so before GST, it never used to be like this. Okay. After GST has come into force, all the suppliers of goods, okay, so they are supposed to give a tax invoice. And if you see here, okay, they have given the rack, some manufacturer, description of goods, and down here there is some code here, okay, HSN bar SAC code, quantity, okay, batch number, expiry date, sale rate, MRP, discount amount, scheduled discount, taxable amount, CGST, okay, CGST, and then SGST, okay, then amount. If you observe here, so we are going to discuss about all these things when we go further in the, okay, for example, we have something called as a HSN or SAC code, okay. This HSN code, SAC code is what, okay, for every item, okay, that this particular shop is selling, they have got a HSN number. For example, some dog cookie, calcium cookie is there, okay, they have given the number as 23091000, okay. This number here represents HSN number. How do we identify this particular item, okay, and how do we fix up the GST rate, okay, for that? So this HSN is nothing but harmonized system of nomenclature, okay. If it is a good, then it is harmonized system of nomenclature. And then service, SAC is for services, okay, service accounting code, okay. So we're going to see what are these things, and then if you see here further, if you see here, you can see that no, there is something called as a CGST, SGST. Okay, the CGST stands for Central Goods and Services Tax, and SGST stands for State Goods Services Tax. Okay, since there are two taxes here, okay, you can see here. That's why our system is called as dual GST. Okay, why we call it as a dual GST? Because both central government as well as the state government are going to impose tax on each of the items. So our system of GST is called as dual GST. Okay, and if you see here a percentage and amount, okay, you can see here CGST for first item, okay, is 9% here, 9% here. Okay, that means total tax on this is 18%. Okay, in this 18%, 9% goes to center, 9% goes to state. So total tax will be 18% on this item here. Okay, similarly, some latex, okay, has got 6 plus 6. So total tax will be 12%. 50% will be taken by central, 50% will be taken by the state government. Okay, so this is how the tax invoice looks like. Okay, it has got GSTIN number. Okay, goods and services tax identification number here. Okay, and then this entire system of GST is on electronic mode. Okay, let us see next now. How do we? This is just for your idea here, like how a GST this one looks like. Okay. So now let us start with introduction to GST. Okay. See, GST has subsumed. Okay. So GST, let me tell you first of all, GST is a indirect tax. Okay, indirect tax. See, our income tax is direct tax. The GST is indirect tax. Why it is called as indirect tax? Okay, what is called indirect tax? When we say direct tax, for example, you had SSC there, okay, SSC there. The incidence and levy of tax is both on the same person in case of direct tax. Okay, in case of indirect tax, okay, so levy will be at one side and collection will be at other side. Okay, that's why it's called as indirect tax. Okay. See, before GST, central taxes were there, state taxes were there, many taxes were there. Okay, when it comes to indirect taxes, for example, central taxes like central excise duty, additional excise duty, service tax, surcharge and central sales tax CST. Okay, and state used to impose taxes like state VAT. Okay, VAT stands for value added tax, entertainment tax, entry tax, luxury tax, purchase tax. Okay, so all these different types of taxes were there. Okay, imposed by central government as well as by state government. Okay, and after the GST has come into force, all these taxes have gone, and there's going to be only one tax for the entire nation. It's called a GST. As far as indirect taxes are concerned. Okay, indirect taxes earlier all these were there. Okay, now it's many of these things have gone, and only very few are there. Okay, uh, so to tell you about the genesis of this GST, it was first introduced in 1954 in France. Okay, for the first time. 1954, first time in France. Later after that, many countries have adopted this. Okay, even India also has adopted this. Okay, you can see here in most of the countries it is the single model. But in countries like Canada, Brazil, India, okay, we have the dual mode. Why it is dual? Why it is called as dual mode? I told you, center imposes CGST, states, okay, and union territories they impose their respective STGST and UTGST. Okay, that's what it's called as a dual model of GST. There are some salient features of GST in India. Okay, see earlier there used to be tax used to be based on consumption. Okay, in the sense earlier, uh, whenever somebody produces something, okay, there used to be tax. For example, excise duty is there. Okay, for example, you got excise duty. For example, you have excise, okay, central excise or state excise, whatever it is. Whenever a manufacturer, supposing a factory is manufacturing some goods, okay, the moment they manufacture it, okay, they have to pay the excise duty. Okay, it is not after it is sold. Uh, Once they manufacture something, they have to pay the tax. Only after they pay the excise duty, the material can be taken out of the premises. Okay, so that was for production. So now it is supply. Okay, so in case of this GST, supply is the base. Okay, it is applicable on supply of goods as against the elsewhere concept of manufacture of goods. Okay, earlier it was on manufacture of goods. Okay, excise duty was on manufacture of goods, but now it is based on supply. Okay, and it is a destination based tax. Okay, earlier it was origin based, now it is destination based. Okay, only when something gets supplied, okay, supplied to a recipient, then it is taxed. Okay, dual GST I told you, like there are CGST plus STGST, CGST, UTGST. UTGST is Union Territories Goods and Services Tax. Okay, and when things are moving, okay, with uh, from one state to another state. Okay, supposing somebody supplies from Karnataka to Maharashtra, let us say. Okay, so in that case there is going to be only IGST. This IGST is called as integrated, okay, goods and services tax. Okay, IGST is applicable if goods are moving between states. Okay, the IGST will be collected by the central government, and central government is going to keep something, and it is going to give 50% of that to the state which is consuming that. Okay, consumption state, okay, will receive benefit. Applicability, okay, so to all items this GST is applicable. GST is applicable to all goods and services except, okay, this is important, except alcohol for human consumption and specified petroleum products. Okay, on alcohol and petroleum products, okay, there is no GST. Okay, apart from these two, on all the other goods and services, GST is applicable. Okay, and for exports, Are you able to hear me now?
number of days. So this is the problem. From this
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. There was some technical, the internet problem was there. Okay. Let us proceed further. Uh, when it comes to exports, okay, exports only IT GST, okay, like integrated, okay, IGST, okay, IGST is applicable if there is going to be any exports. So when there are exports, you don't come across CGST or STGST or UTGST. It's only IGST, Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Okay? And then one more feature is the electronic filing of returns. Okay, there is no manual paper, writing it in a paper forms, filling and then submitting it to the concerned authorities. It is only through the electronic filing. Okay, electronic filing, and then all the funds transfer will be through NEFT and RTGS. Okay. And what about the tax collection at source by e-commerce operators? Okay, nowadays everything goes online, and there are a lot of e-commerce operators. For e-commerce operators, okay, suppliers are somewhere, and then the customers are somewhere. So it's the responsibility of the e-commerce operators, okay, to go for a TCS. Okay, instead of TDS now you have some new word called as TCS. This TCS stands for tax collection at source. Okay, it is not tax deduction at source. It is tax collection at source. Okay, so usually 2% is the applicable rate for e-commerce operators. So these are some of the salient features of GST in India. Okay, so now coming to the GST in alcohol, okay, for human consumption. Okay, so alcohol for human consumption, there is no GST. But what is applicable then? VAT. Okay, VAT is applicable. VAT is imposed by the states. Okay, states and state excise. Okay, state excise. Again, state is going to impose the excise duty. Okay, so VAT and state excise duty are applicable for the alcohol for human consumption. Okay, human consumption. So the taxing this discrimination is only with the state here in case of human, okay, consumption alcohol. What about the petroleum products? Okay, petroleum products. Petroleum products, there is no GST. There is no GST. VAT. Okay, this VAT is applied by the state and central excise. Okay, so you can see here petroleum products, both state, okay, and central government through central excise, okay, impose taxes. Okay, and then what about the liability to pay CGST? Okay, who is supposed to pay the CGST? Okay, there are three things here when we go for the liability to pay CGST. Okay, one system is called as forward charge, second system is called as reverse charge, and thirdly for the e-commerce services. What is forward charge? Okay, what is forward charge? See, in case of forward charge, let us assume there is a supplier. Okay, there is a supplier here in Dharwad, and he is supplying some material to somebody in Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore. So from Hubli or from Dharwad, material is going to Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore. So this is okay. In this case, the material is going from Dharwad or Hubli to Bangalore. Okay, the supplier from Hubli or Dharwad, okay, he is going to collect tax, okay, collect the GST from the receiver. He collects it, okay, and he, okay, who the supplier is going to make the payment of tax to the government. Okay, that's called as forward charge. Okay, taxable person making intra-trade supply. Okay, one who is supplying. Okay, whoever is supplying, so he has to pay the tax. And what is reverse charge? Okay, there are some items wherein, when the service is provided, okay, when the service is provided, the service provider will not pay tax to the government, but in turn, one who receives, okay, one who receives the services will pay the tax. Okay, so that is a receiver of supply. Suppose somebody here in Dharwad, okay, supplies or transports. Okay, supposing there is a transport agency here in Dharwad, so they have transported some goods to, say, a place in Mysore. Okay, so here in this case, the goods transport operator, okay, so he is not going to pay tax. One who is receiving the material in Mysore, okay, the receiver of supply, okay, has to pay the tax. Okay, the liability, okay, lies with the receiver. In case of forward charge, the liability lies with the one who is supplying. And for the e-commerce services, the liability lies with the e-commerce operator. Okay, so this is what is the liability. Okay, in case of forward charge, one who is supplying, he is collecting tax and he is paying it to the government. In case of reverse charge, okay, one who is receiving the goods or services, he is supposed to pay the tax to the government. In case of e-commerce services, it is the e-commerce operator who is going to pay the taxes. Okay. So needs and benefits of GST. Okay, why there was a need to come out with this GST? So it is like a win-win situation for the entire country. As I told you earlier, there are a lot of other taxes imposed by government, central government at the state level. Multitude of taxes were there. There a lot of confusion. People had to comply with a lot of tax formalities. Not avoid all that. Okay, the GST had come into force, and then this creation of unified national market. Okay, so they want to consider the entire country as one market and one tax rate. So that will help the reduce a lot of procedures and compliances there. Okay, mitigation of ill effects of cascading. Okay, cascading is what? Okay, is what earlier. Okay, let us say somebody manufactures some goods at a factory, so he would have paid the central excise duty there. Okay, central excise duty he will pay, and he sells it. Okay, when he sells it, okay, he will again pay the sales tax. Okay, pay sales tax. When it goes to second person there, the total amount would include both the buying price, okay, buying price plus the excise duty that was there on that, and the sales tax. On all these things, again there is going to be some tax. Okay, when it goes to the next level. Okay, so that is called as a tax on tax. Okay, it's called as tax on tax. So this cascading effect of tax, okay, effect of cascading of tax, okay, that got mitigated now. Okay, that got mitigated now in the sense that got avoided because of the GST. And boost to Make in India initiative. Okay, by going for reducing a lot of formalities, procedures, and all that. Okay, things have become more easier, and people can think of making in India, and this will create one market for all the goods and services. So this will definitely help the Make India initiative. Okay, increase in government revenue. Okay, increase in government revenue. See now. After this GST, a lot of services also have come under the umbrella of GST. So with that, the taxpayers base has increased, and with a lot of taxpayers, coming into the umbrella of tax bracket, the revenue to the government also has increased. Okay, so these are some of the benefits of GST. Okay. So now coming to the structure of GST. Okay, already I told you we have talked about CGST. Okay, Central Goods and Services Tax. SGST is state goods and services tax. If there's a union territory, then it is union territory goods and services tax. And for movement of goods and services between states, okay, one state to another state, then it is integrated goods and services tax. Okay, so each of these has got their own acts. Okay. See, if materials are within a state, okay, within a state, you have CGST and SGST. Okay, so both will be applicable. Supposing if the goods are within a union territory, then CGST and UTGST. If the movement is between one state to another state, then it is IGST. Okay, only IGST. Okay, so this is how the nature of or okay. And even in case of exports also you got IGST. Okay, IGST is applicable in case of exports. Okay, so whatever I told you, the same thing is here. GST is levied on supply of goods and services across India, including J&K. Okay, GST is destination-based consumption tax. Benefit of tax, okay, will accrue to the consuming state. Okay, consuming in a sense, supposing some goods move from Karnataka to Mumbai. Okay, so Mumbai is the state which is going to consume, and IGST is applicable there. Okay, integrated goods and services tax is applicable there. So center collects something, okay, and the other part, okay, should go to which state? Should it go to Karnataka? Should it go to Maharashtra? Since Maharashtra is the consuming state, okay, the benefit will go to the consumption, okay, state, okay, consuming state. Okay. So center and states will impose tax on goods services simultaneously. Okay, that's why we saw that if the total tax of GST is, let us say, 18%. So 9% from center with the CGST, 9% from state, that is SGST. Okay, so both state and center will impose taxes. As I told you, intrastate. Intrastate means within the state. Okay, within the state supply of goods and services, CGST is payable to central government, STGST or UTGST is payable to state government or union territory. Okay, this is for intrastate. Okay, within the state. If it is interstate, okay, if it is interstate, okay, IGST is payable to central government. Okay, IGST is applicable. IGST will be collected by the central government. Okay, and the benefit later will decide to whom it should go. As I said, it is the consuming state which is the benefit. Okay. So import, okay, when it comes to exports, imports, okay, imports will be treated as interstate supply, so IGST is applicable, okay. Both exports and imports, IGST is applicable, okay. Supposing materials are goods and services are being exported outside state, okay, outside state, then it is okay. There is zero rated in the sense to promote the exports. Okay, GST is taken as zero rated here, and no IGST is payable if there is a export. Only if there is an import, then there is IGST applicable. If there is export of goods and services to outside country, okay, then it is zero rated. Okay. So now coming to see, I had told you that the entire thing is based on computer network. Okay, so which particular company is going to manage the entire GST? Okay? The company is called as GSTN. Okay, the Goods and Services Tax Network. It is a not-for-profit company. Okay, under Companies Act that has been brought into existence. And this GSTN is a company which manages the entire activity of GST in India. Okay, so how this company is formed? It is formed by the central government share of 24.5%, state share of 24.5%. Okay, and then other 51% stake is by the financial institutions like LIC, ICICI, HDFC. All these companies have invested and formed this company called as GSTN. Okay, GSTN is a company, not for profit company, which is got stake from the central, state, and other financial institutions. And this is okay. So GSTN, the service provided to GSTN is Infosys Limited. Okay, Infosys Limited takes care of supplying all the hardwares and software to run the GST in India. Okay, so GSTN is the company which runs or manages the entire GST activities in India. Okay, the software support is given by Infosys. Okay, very important. Okay, GST Council. Okay, who decides what are the tax rates and which item should come under which tax brackets? So who decides all this? Okay, there's a council called the GST Council. Okay, there's a council called GST Council, which has got the responsibility of identifying the different tax rates and ensuring that the uniform tax rates for goods and services across the nation. Okay. So how is GST Council formed? Okay, GST Council is formed by the Union Finance Minister. Okay, Union Finance Minister, the chairperson, and then Union Minister for State. Okay, responsible for revenue or finance will be the member, and Minister in charge of finance or taxation by all the states. Okay, state governments, they're all members. So the GST Council has got the chairman as the Union Finance Minister. Okay, the Central Finance Minister. Okay, and then the Union Minister for State is one more member, and then from all these different states, okay, the minister responsible for finance, okay, will be the representative in the GST Council. Okay, this is the GST structure. So now coming to the functions of GST Council. Okay, so GST Council will make recommendations to Union government regarding tax, cess, surcharges to be subsumed under GST. Okay, so like we saw that central SunVat, central sales tax, CST, lot of state taxes, all these things were subsumed in the sense they were removed. So which are taxes, cesses, and surcharges to be removed or should be avoided? Okay, that is again decided by GST. Which goods and services to be taxed and which are to be exempted again is decided by GST. Threshold limit for turnover for application of GST. Okay, rates of GST, model GST laws, principle of levies. Okay, apportionment of IGST. Okay, when the goods or services are moved from one state to another state, apportionment. Okay, how much should be retained by the central government and how much should be going to the state which is consuming. Okay, the apportionment. Okay, supply of GST here. Okay, special provisions for different state like Jammu and Kashmir, the northeastern states, something like that. So all these things are decided by the GST Council, which has got the Union Finance Minister as the chairman of that. Okay, GST Council is responsible for all this. So next is GST registration. Okay, I showed you there was for the initial. Okay, I showed you about one. I showed you. So coming to this GST registration now here, okay, registration, you can see here GSTIN, okay, GSTIN. For this particular tax invoice, you can see here there is a number here, 29 AA KCP 2008C1ZP, okay. So this is the GST registration number that is given to this particular retail outlet, okay. So GSTIN stands for what? Goods and Services Tax Identification Number, okay, GST. And after establishment registers, it is given with a number. It's called a registration number. So what are this 29 AAKC and all these number represent? See, supposing if you see at this first two letters 29, okay, this is the state code. For Karnataka state, the code is 29. Okay, or in the entire Karnataka, all the registrations, okay, will start with 29. This is the state registration code. And the next, okay, 10 digits, okay, AAKCP 2008C, okay, C. So this 10 digits, next 10 digits represent the PAN number, PAN card number, okay, of the particular SSC, okay. The PAN card number is the next 10 digits, okay. First two digits are for the state, okay, representation. Next 10 digits are for the PAN card number and one, okay, this next 13th number here, okay, 13th digit one here, okay, stands for, supposing the same establishment wants to go for multiple registrations of GST. So this one here represents that, okay, this is the first registration, okay. Supposing he wants to go for one more registration of GST for one more, okay, of his establishment, okay, this becomes two. If supposing he wants to go for third registration of GST, then it goes for 3, okay. And Z is the some code number which is common, which is there compulsorily, okay, for all the registration. Z is a compulsory number, a code, compulsory code, okay, alphabet. And this P again is something related to the, this is called a checksum digit. P is called a checksum digit, and this key, okay, this could be either a number or a an alphabet here, okay. So this is the GSTI number represented. The first two numbers represent the state code. Next 10 digits represents the PAN card number. The 13 digit 1, 2, 3, 4 here represent, okay, the number of registrations for GST from the same PAN card holder. Z is again a mandatory, okay, some code that the software uses. And P, okay, again this could be a number or a alphabet, which is again for the software. Okay, it's called a checksum digit. Okay, as you see here now, you can see here CGST is this, SGST. The percentage, both the percentages are here. Okay, 9% by CGST, 9% by SGST. Total tax is 18%. Okay, so taken 50% by CGST, 50% by okay state and central government.
Cost of raw materials per unit, 80 rupees. Average inventory holding period, 4 weeks.
So GST registration is, okay, we saw how the tax invoice looks like and what is GST and number there, okay. So the GST is compulsory for or mandatory for any business or supply of goods, okay. For supply of goods, okay, supply of goods, if it is not exceeding 40 lakhs, okay, the turnover of goods is not exceeding 40 lakhs, it is compulsory, okay. And if the state is in, the manufacturer or the goods and service provider is in northeastern states or hilly states, it is 20 lakhs. Okay, this is the latest one. Okay, 20 lakhs, 40 lakhs for rest of the country, and 20 lakhs is for the northeastern or hilly states. Okay, 20 lakhs. If somebody's turnover is more than 40 lakhs, GST registration is compulsory. Okay. Similarly, in case of business of supply of services, okay, for goods it is 40 lakhs and for services it is 20 lakhs. Okay, 20 lakhs. If somebody's services, okay, total turnover of services is about 20 lakhs, so GST registration is compulsory. Okay, 40 lakhs for goods, 20 lakhs for services. Okay, if the turnover exceeds this, GST registration becomes compulsory. Okay, and similarly, okay, there are so many other things here, like people who are already earlier they had some excise or VAT or service tax